another, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, you would need it. Yeah, baby, I'm in love. If it comes down to that, let me show you how to do that.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Hey, welcome to Real Men Talk. This is where brothers put it out and just keep it real, 100%, or as they say, we're going to keep it 100 with you tonight. And so Gerard and I, my co-host here, he and I have been friends for some times. And one of the things when you are friends with someone for a long time, you're able to keep it 100. And so Gerard and I occasionally have some talks off camera. And I tell you, we keep it 100% real. And so that's what Real Men Talk is all about. Brothers talking to another brother. And we just decided, you know what? We got to invite more people into this so you can understand the heart and the mind and the soul of a man. And so our intention here is to be a blessing to not only just the men, but the ladies that love the men in their lives too and want to be supportive to them. And so tonight we're coming at you again, and we're going to talk about fear. But before we dive into that, I want to introduce my brother from another mother, Gerard. Say what's up to the people.
Hello, great people. Appreciate you, Gregory, as always, man. And hey, man, the way you describe our friendship made me feel like I'm somebody, man. I appreciate your ability to inspire the people. I know that's one of your pages that you have too, where Gregory Inspires, man. So that's a real gift, if you will, of yours, man. I appreciate you for it.
I appreciate that. And exactly what you just saw right there, that exchange. Real men need that. We need to support each other and keep each other strong. Because the truth of the matter is, when a man matures, he understands that the world doesn't care about him. The world, I think Chris Rock said it best in one of his stand-up comedy shows. He said, men are valued by what they can provide. The world doesn't care if we're showing up with a broken heart, a broken spirit. They just want to know, what are you able to execute? And so it's good to have a place like Real Men Talk where brothers can say, hey, brother, I care about you. I feel your pain. I sympathize. And not only that, let me give you some wisdom to help you get through, because I know it ain't easy for you. So let me help you get through it also. Well, we're going to share this weight that's on your shoulders. I'm going to help you carry it so that you can make it through as well. And so that's what we try to do here.
So yeah. So before we jump into the discussion, just a couple house rules. Y'all know this is Real Men Talk on the Floor is Yours podcast, where we do focus on giving a voice for everybody. So even though this is Real Men Talk, it is important that men hear voices are heard. That whoever's in the audience, men or women, if you got a comment, something you agree with or you don't agree with, you want to challenge us on, put it in the comment. We're gonna make sure that we address it, because sometimes we just know, sometimes we just want to be heard. So just that right there. But also make sure you're liking and sharing and inviting other people here so that they can be a part of this discussion too. So, but as Greg talked, this topic is called the spirit of fear.
Right.
And we know how crippling fear can be in a number of areas in your life. So that's why I want to ask you, like, why is it so important or a must for us to conquer our fears?
The Bible says that God did not give us a spirit of fear. I know you and I, we shared that scripture earlier today, but a power of love and a sound mind, right? And so on a very high level, very, very high level, if it promotes fear in your life, then it's not of God. Then it is from the pits of hell. And so anything that prevents you from moving forward is not of God. God is pleased when he sees his children moving forward. They're engaged and they're active about serving and making the world a better place. And so if something is keeping you stagnant and stuck, that's the devil. And so what is super important is we know for sure that challenges are going to come. But as men, and especially men that have faith, what our goal is to overcome that fear so that we can be the change. Here is the goal of every man, and that is to make this world better because you were here. And that may be your household, that may be your block, that may be your city, maybe your country. But the goal of every man is to make this world, in some way, form, or fashion, a better place because you're here. And fear stops us from doing that. Fear of what people will say, fear of being judged, fear of getting in trouble, fear of getting a demerit, fear of whatever it may be. Fear is the thing that stops us from fulfilling God's purpose in our lives, and we got to crush it. We got to get rid of that because we're real men. We're meant to be warriors,
Yeah.
and we're meant to be abrasive if need be. We're meant to be inappropriate if need be. You know what I'm saying? We are the men, and so we are responsible. We're the ones that are responsible for calling stuff out,
Yeah.
right? God made us the head of the home for a reason, and that responsibility is to not to control, but it's to say we ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
Not in this house.
That's good, man. I like the way you summed that up. But hey, I just got to give a shout out to the audience, man. We got some great people in the audience. In usual fashion, the ladies show up, right? And
they do.
Historical, speaking in our society, the women show up. We got IC, we got Ivory, and we got Miss Monetta Smith in there, and they're sending shout outs and interacting with each other. And again, making sure that y'all know y'all don't have to agree with us,
Right.
but just disagree politely. But
Right.
I think we're better when we're challenged. But I want to start here, Gregory.
Yeah.
You talked about a number of different fears, but here's one that's oft overlooked: the fear of success.
Yeah.
And the fear of success. The reason why I want to talk with this one is some people fear success because of the accountability and the responsibilities that come with it. So let's just put it in the context of first a relationship with whether an intimate relationship with someone. A man could fear the level of accountability that comes with that relationship. So he could really literally sabotage that relationship or keep it from going forward because of those very reasons. Would you agree with that?
Most definitely. Here's the thing, brother, is that most men fear of being found out to be being a phony. Like we wine and we dine, everybody says like the first 30, 60 days your representative shows up. And here's the fear of most men. Will she love me when she sees my flaws? Will she love me when she finds out I'm not as smart, I'm not as successful, I'm not as with it as I pretend to be? And that's a real fear of men. Like, hey, the first 2 dates, 3 dates, I got it going on. I got the new outfits, but what happens when all the new stuff gets old? What if after you've seen all my tricks? Are you still gonna love me? So the fear of success is, can I maintain the momentum that I started? Because I'm fearful that I'm going to eventually run out of gas. And will I be appreciated when I have to reset and recharge? When they see that there's a limit to what I can actually provide and what I can do. That's the fear that we have. Will you love me when I fall?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. And you got me thinking about another fear of being truthful in those scenarios right there. I was talking to a friend earlier, and she was saying like how guys show up and try to put their best foot forward initially, taking them on a date. And I told her, putting your best foot forward isn't necessarily a bad thing. But if it's causing him to misrepresent who he is, what he can be in the confines of that relationship as a provider, leader, protector, if he's misleading who he is, then that is a problem. So when I asked her, I was like, if he says like, hey, I normally, I can't afford or don't even want to afford this level of expense, like a restaurant, high-end restaurant, but I want to show you that you're special. So I saved up for this specific moment. I told her, I said, that's different from acting like I got it and I'm going to try to do it on the regular.
Right.
Would you agree with that? So that's the whole fear of being truthful to that person. So now you're misrepresenting who you are up front.
Yeah, absolutely. And relationships, of course, are a two-way street. And I can understand where women have come from. Like if the first date you're taking me to Ruth's Chris, then I'm thinking all the time, that's where we're going. And then you're going to be ticked off when he actually pulls up to Wendy's one day. So I get it. I get it because you're thinking you gave me a false set of goods here, but the truth is, like you said, men, when they care for a woman, they're pursuing a woman, we want to put our best foot forward. And so, we shine up our shoes and we take you to the best places and we do all of these things. It's not pretending. He just wants to show you what he's like at his best. But he wants you to have the ability to love him where he's at his worst at the same time. So yeah, it's a catch-22.
Yeah, and just this comment right here from Iris, she said, "How you start is how you should finish." And I agree with this statement wholeheartedly. I would just expound on it and say how he start. If he does take her to a restaurant like Ruth Chris, and that's something that he can't afford to do like regularly, how he starts should also let her know, like, hey, I dig you, I care about you, I do want to do something nice for you occasionally, so I'm taking you to Ruth Chris. But this ain't something you do on the regular, though.
Right. And then make sure you're framing it the right way, because how he started was showing you him at his best. He wasn't trying to trick you or manipulate you. He just wanted to show you, here I am when I lay out the red carpet. This is me. And so he is showing you what he has inside of him, what he has the ability to do, but the frequency may not be the same.
Yeah.
But his desire is there. So we got to make sure we're framing it right.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So I want to know, the ladies in the comments or the audience, if you agree with that, let us know. But I do like the way you frame that, Gregory. Sometimes it's just looked at as, hey, you put on in the beginning, and that's not who you really are. Versus, hey, I just want to, at this moment, while I had the capability and resources to do it. But that's not something that I'm even, not that I can do, but even willing to do if I'm a financially responsible person.
Right, exactly. Because even if you had all the money in the world, it's still wasteful just to go to expensive restaurants every weekend.
Yeah. And on that note, and I'm gonna ask the ladies this as well, doesn't that take away from the specialness of it if we're doing it constantly all the time?
True. Yeah, and so there is a lot of fear of success in a relationship, because the fear for a man is not only will you love me when I'm flawed, but then there becomes that competitiveness that we have. Oh, Gerard has a bigger house, or Gregory is taller, or so and so has the better physique, that kind of stuff. And so the fear of success means I may be good to you today, but then I got to keep winning in every situation for the rest of our relationship.
Yeah. Here's another one on the fear of success. Guy's been on his job for a number of years, and it's time for him to step up, more money, which means more responsibilities, on time, accountability, things of that nature. So I've heard, I remember, I'll just go back and give you a couple examples. One, when I was in the military, I remember when I started to make rank and get promoted, some of my peers would say, man, I don't want to get promoted because I don't want that responsibility. And I was like, man, that's odd to say. Like, I wasn't looking at it from the responsibility part, but I was like, man, you're costing yourself money. So now fast forward to, as I've interacted with guys, in their, current challenges or struggles. And some people are comfortable where they are and don't want to move up because of the responsibilities and accountability that come with that new position. But at the same time, I think it could show your mate like a level of complacency that's unhealthy.
100%. Yeah. Well, first things first, we cannot knock anyone's definition of what happiness is. Right. There are some people who are happy and content with entry-level jobs, mid-management jobs. Not everybody wants to be a CEO, right? And so the trick in a relationship, or the goal in a relationship, is find someone who has a similar definition of what success looks like. Now, what is troubling, though, is that you are aspiring to be that CEO. You want to have that position, but your fear of inadequacy is keeping you back. Now, that's where it becomes problematic. And that is not of God, because we were created by God on purpose for a purpose, and that was to have dominion. And so God wants to have his sons and his daughters in positions of leadership and of power. It's always been my prayer that people in power gain wisdom, and people that have wisdom gain power. And that is God's desire as well. And so if Fear is holding you up because you think, oh, but I got to do all these spreadsheets and I got to do all of these reports. Then I need you to stick your chest out, young man, and I need you to do it afraid. I
Yeah,
need you to do it afraid. And that's a concept that a lot of men need to embrace more. It's not the fact that I think I can do it, it's the fact that I'm going to do it even though I'm afraid.
that's awesome. So the way we phrase this, the spirit of fear,
Right.
we're not saying that fear does not exist. We're saying that it doesn't cripple you. So you're right.
Mhm.
When you're moving into these unknown territories, these new territories, new responsibilities, and you're right, man, your livelihood it hinges on this right here, right? So I
Mhm.
get fear, but if I'm understanding you right, that fear does not control us.
Yeah, I there was a movie that didn't do very well, Will Smith and his son, After Earth, and there's an incredible line in that movie, and it says, "Danger is real, but fear is an option." Danger is real, but fear is an option. So, like, you wouldn't necessarily try to cross a highway with a blindfold on, right? Because that's dangerous. You will get hurt. So, danger is real, but you can choose to walk across a highway with your eyes wide open, seeing what's coming your way, and still cross it. So, fear is an option, but danger is real. But a lot of times, men will think, or they get misconstrued that fear is actually dangerous, and it's not. You're just afraid, but you're not in danger. You're just uncomfortable.
That's good. That's good. Which is bringing me to the next another option that we can talk about is being fearful. Is being uncomfortable. In this
Mhm.
society where we want to be comfortable in everything we do. And I see a lot of posts when they say, if you don't serve my purpose, if you don't bring happiness to me, if you distract my world, then stay away from me. And it sounds good. And those posts have the ability to go viral because, again, just that surface level understanding that it may sound good, but when you dig that deeper,
Bro,
that right,
that's toxic. Bro,
it's toxic.
it's
Okay, tell me
toxic.
why.
It's toxic. Listen, I do believe not because not everything is extreme. And so we hear people on social media always making these declarations. But I'm always like, pull it back to the middle. Put it back to the middle. Everybody always wants to go to 10, you know. But it's like this. You can't even have a fish and it not change your life. You can't even have a fish and it not create an inconvenience. And so if you're in a relationship or you got a new job or you plan to move across the country or you're planning to go back to school, it's going to be uncomfortable, right? So you got to be used to that. And so the Bible teaches us that we are our brother's keeper, right? And so it's my belief that as long as it's not toxic and as long as it's not crippling you and stifling you and it's dangerous to you, some of these things just have to be dealt with. If you get a new man and his work schedule is different than yours and y'all can only talk after 11 o'clock at night because that's when he gets off of work. If he's worth it, he's worth it. Don't go, nah, you got to be on the same schedule as mine because you interrupted my sleep and I need my sleep, so I need a man that works my hours. It don't work that way. It
Yeah.
don't work that way. Sometimes the things that you want are going to require work. If you want to go back to school and get a degree, guess what? You can't watch the Real Housewives like you used to. You're going to have to turn the TV off and you're going to have to study. It's an inconvenience, but it's worth it. And so we sometimes get things misconstrued for things that sometimes it's normal. It's not toxic. It's normal.
No, that's good. That's good. So what we're gonna do is go to some of these comments, and then we'll jump to another one of these where we're talking about fears that we need to make sure we address. So here's our old faithful or young faithful. I want to call it old young faithful. I see he's doing this for the podcast. No, for real. Hey, love you too, knuckleheads. Love you too. I see.
Love you too, sis. Love you,
Yeah.
queen.
And here's Miss Monetta. Man, I always love it when I look out in the audience and see her out there. And Ivory,
Hey, Ivory, we gotta get you. We gotta get you on the podcast one day. It'd be great to talk to you.
Hey, she make more cameos in the audience than we won't get her here though, man. Let me go to some of these comments where people are responding to the conversation. So here's one we showed it earlier, but Ivory said we love you more when you're honest up front. So we did talk about that a little bit, and I mean, there's no arguments with me for me.
Right. Right, right. It's important to have clear expectations. Like if you meet a woman around her birthday and you want to kind of, spruce things up for her birthday, let her know, listen, this is a special occasion, so I want to do something extra nice. And so that kind of lets her know that you did a little something extra because it's her birthday, or maybe it's a holiday, 4th of July. So you kind of, kicked it up a notch. But inform of that. Let her know, hey, I want to be something nice for us to enjoy.
So it's okay to say, hey, I like doing this for you, but this for your birthday. Don't think you're gonna get this every day.
I wouldn't word it like that, but yeah, give her realistic expectations.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair thing to do.
And just to follow up to that, she said, "How you start is how you should finish." And I mostly agree with that. But again, framing it to make sure that there's some understanding, because sometimes what people are talking about is two different things, but they continue their conversation not understanding. So how you start is how you should finish. Again, if this is a birthday or a special occasion or a first date, I personally don't think it's anything wrong with saying like, hey, I just want to show you a good time and, what I do for people I care about. But they don't have to be every date, right? Every date don't have to be a Ruth Chris or Papa Do's or something, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And then good old communication, of course. She said, don't stop dating after they get together. You want to expound on that?
Yeah, one of the most obvious reasons that people break up or relationships fail is because they forget to invest in each other. And so you get used to each other and you get used to that routine of doing the same thing week after week after week. And you forget that your person likes spontaneity, they like surprises, and they want to be courted for the rest of their lives. They just don't want to be courted to be caught. I want to be courted for the rest of my life. And so that goes both ways. So women, I say that too. Keep your man's needs also a priority as he keeps yours a priority as well.
Hey, isn't there something also mentally speaking or psychologically speaking from a man that's pursuing and dating his woman ongoing and not just saying, I got you now, I'm stopping? Isn't there something healthy for the man if he's ongoing, pursuing and courting her?
It's a characteristic of his values. And so intentionality is a reflection of who you are at your core. And that shows us that your priorities are in place, and your priorities say that you don't settle, but you like to be a good steward of everything that God has given you. And so like if, you bought a new car, there are some people that I know who have cars that are 7, 8 years old, but it looks just as nice as it did the day that they bought it. And that shows their value system. It shows that whatever God gives them, they're going to be a good steward over.
Yeah. So tell the men something on that. Like if you ever give advice to a man on this note right here, don't stop dating her.
Listen, I'm going to keep it 100 because that's what we do, Gerard.
Okay.
Whatever you won't do, another man will. And so if it ticks you off to think that another man may be loving on your woman the way you loving on her right now, then brother, you need to step up your game. You need to keep it coming strong with her. Don't stop it because the guy in the office is ready for you to fall off.
Yeah.
Trust and believe.
Man, keep it 100 then, man. All right.
Yeah.
So IC says, I don't assume if I'm taking too expensive dinner on the first date that there won't be a simple, non-expensive dinner from time to time, or that he catfished me. You're right. Yeah, she said she's not going to assume that, hey, every now and then we're going to go hit that. What's that going on at Chili's right now? That 3 for $10.99.
Man, ain't nothing wrong with Chili's. That's man. Chili's is the spot. That's the spot.
And it comes with a drink too.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I
So
appreciate it though, Ivory, because that shows the reflection of a mature woman. There's some women who are like, I'm not going to go below this. I'm not going to be able to change it up. And so I appreciate that, Ivory, because it's good to know that there are. I'm sorry. I'm good to know. I see. Thank you, Queen. That there are mature women out there that know that relationships ebb and flows. There's ups and there's downs. It's good.
And what does that mean to a man to see and hear something? His lady say something like that.
He can relax, man. Listen. This world wants to take from us constantly as men. The world doesn't pour into men as much as it does women. And so it's good to know when you have a woman that says something like IC just said, I can relax. I can take the cape off and I can just be Clark Kent today. I don't have to be Superman every single day. And so that's just a relief, and you become his safe place. And that man loves you on a deeper level, knowing that you love him when he's got the cape on and when he's got the cape off. So
Yeah.
we appreciate that, Queen.
So suffice to say that if you got a man and he's Superman every day, you might need to check on him just to make sure that he's being
You're
real.
gonna burn out.
Yeah.
You're gonna burn out. You can't keep up that momentum. Yeah. And that's the fear. We're gonna fall one day. We flying high, but we're gonna crash and burn.
Yeah. And that's natural too, right? To
Mhm.
want to just chill, relax, and I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to our YouTube followers from Mia Nicole. She said, if it's not genuinely who they are, the mask will eventually come off. But it's not always about where we go. She said, but are you present with me in the present? Oh, I like that. Even if we go there, are you present there? And then also, what is your character when you're there, right? If you're just taking someone to this nice Ruth Chris, but your attitude stink, you're not being polite to the waiters, and not opening doors. Like, what are you like when you're there? So
Yeah. And as a man, I want to know that you will appreciate me when I take you to a 5-star restaurant as much as when I take you to Subway.
Huh? So is that realistic? So what does that look like? How game to the women? You're saying that if you take her to a 5-star restaurant, like, hey, let's just swing over to the Subway real quick, she should show that appreciation is the same.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, thank you for feeding me. You know what I'm saying? Looking after me, making sure my stomach is still on full, and true enough, like, hey, I get it. If we go to a fancy restaurant, there's gonna be a lot more smiles and giggles than there was at Subway. But can you show up with the same level of appreciation, or am I gonna get the side eye and the stank face when we're
This
at
one
Subway?
brings up to mind for me that whole idea of the book, Men Are from Mars, Women from Venus. We can look at the situation from two totally different angles. If a woman likes to be courted and to be made feel special, a Ruth Chris date will probably make her feel better than different. I ain't gonna say better, different than a Subway. But you're saying, regardless, showing appreciation should be the
It should be a constant. It should be a norm. Yeah, it should be a norm. And I would encourage any man that if the norm in your relationship is not respect and appreciation, then you're in the wrong relationship.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So why are you nothing wrong with Subway? Throw in a Ruth Chris every now and then, right?
Exactly. You got to mix it up, right? Mix it up.
And
Keep on the toes.
Goes to this next comment from Nisha. Appreciate you from YouTube as well. She said, I'd rather have consistency and celebrate special events. Otherwise, there's little room to progress or celebrate. Okay, I can see that. If we're on 10 all the time, then I mean, that's the norm, and there's nothing that's like out of the ordinary or extraordinary. I think.
Right. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
Cool.
And I think that's what most women are looking for is consistency in their relationships. And men have fear in these relationships because it is the ideal of, if I lose it all, am I still valuable? Am I still worthy of respect? Am I still appreciated? And so that is a fear in relationships for men, is that, and can I be appreciated more than what I can provide for, or am I only appreciated for what I can execute, not for who I am?
Yeah. I'm gonna let you take this one right here from Mia. If you can read the whole comment.
Okay. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
I can read. You stop telling people I can't read, Gerard. It says, agreed, Gregory. Some people will just try to fast talk about what they want to do, but never do anything to work towards equipping themselves. You gotta walk the walk as well as talk the talk. And I think when it comes to relationships, when it comes to careers, understanding there's a certain amount of sweat equity that goes into it. I always tell couples when they come in for coaching that a relationship is like a garden, that you have to plant the seed, you have to nurture it, you got to create the right environment before you reap any harvest. You got to do the work first. And so people are looking for, that first date. If you're not marrying me, or I ain't got a ring on my finger, or I'm not living this lavish lifestyle, then you ain't the one. one. No, it's you got to put in that sweat equity. I nurtured this ground that I have to reap a reward. What have I done to earn it?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Just think about the people that do a lot of talking, and we call it the gift of gab, right? So can you give ladies a pointer so they can know if they talking to someone with just the gift of gab, or if it's somebody that's real true, because that's a part of it, right? Talking through your vision and all that so you can get there. So how can they know the difference?
Yeah, yeah. You say this phrase, you say these two words, show me. Show me. So if he says, "Oh, I'm a mentor, I hang out with young boys and this guy," okay, show me a picture of you and your mentees. Show me. Oh yeah, I'm starting this business. Okay, show me your business plan. Show
Yeah.
me. Oh yeah, I'm back in school. Okay, show me the classes you're taking. So if you want to know, say those two words, show me.
Yeah. So that's kind of direct. They can do it a little less direct, all right? They don't
I mean, you
feel
could finesse it if you want
yeah.
to. Yeah, you can put a smile on your face when you say it. But the point that you want to get to is where are the receipts?
Yeah.
Where's the evidence of what you're saying you're doing? Show me your track record. Show me what. Show it. Show me. Show me. Show me. Show me. Show me. You know what? Speaking of this, I thought you was going to go in a different way, and something popped in my mind. If you don't mind me sharing it, is that one of the things that I think a skill that women can develop is when you're out on a date, not to interview, but have a conversation.
Mhm.
And I have met very few women that know how to do that very well. And so when a woman generally meets a man, I'm going to say a good 80% of the time, when she's trying to get to know him, it sounds like an interview. It doesn't sound like a conversation. And so you find that the woman's asking question after question after question after question and not engaging at all. And so I would put that out there to the women is try to work on that technique that as you're trying to discover who he is, make sure it sounds conversational and not like an interview, because that is such a turn off.
Yeah.
It just, yeah, you make the man want to run out the restaurant. Like,
Yeah.
she's interviewing me.
Yeah. Another one you got me thinking about a fear too. When men hear a woman say, "We need to talk."
Yeah.
That's one of those things like, "Oh Lord, what I've done, what she," even if he's not done anything, what does that do to men if they hear that we need to talk?
Yeah, that blood pressure goes up. And I also think we're talking about fear that men have is a fear of being ghosted.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. And so men hurt, ladies. I know that is something that we don't talk about a lot, but men get their heart broken. And statistically, it shows that men handle heartbreaks worse than women. It is harder for men to recover from a heartbreak than it is from a woman. And that's a lot involved in that because men don't have the peer group set up that women generally do.
yeah.
And so it's harder for a man to recover from. And so ghosting a guy for a reason that's not because of violence or toxicity. There's sometimes where ghosting is reasonable, but just ghosting him because you don't want to have that difficult 2 to 3 minute conversation is a coward's way out.
Yeah.
And why that is dangerous is because that man can go hard. And generally, not all the time, but generally he turns into a dog after that because his heart turns to stone and he's like, I'm going to pay back every woman for the pain that I feel right now. He becomes a villain and not a hero. And then also he may go into a big depression. And so men go in knowing that if I am vulnerable with her, I may be potentially putting myself up for a heartbreak. And that's a fear of a man because we know if we get our heart broken, it's a sad, ugly thing. And it's going to take us a long time to recover.
Yeah, I saw this post on Facebook earlier that talked about men when they break up, they go years and years before they get back into a relationship. But a woman can be back in one in 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's not one size fit all, but that
Right.
is. Yeah.
Exactly. Generally, it takes a good man. We're talking about the good man, staying in the middle, not the extremes, but staying in the middle. It generally takes a man a year to get over a heartbreak, a full year. Yeah.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that even after that year that he's ready to jump back into, because now he's based off some things that he's learned and understands, like he's checking and making sure before he enters into something that with that level of commitment again.
Yeah. And that goes to the way that men are brought up, and why this fear is so strong is because men are told from the time they're little boys that you have to be ready to die for your wife. And so that means that the only way that I'm going to stop loving you is if I'm dead. Because if I'm alive, then I'm loving you, I'm protecting you, I'm providing for you.
Yeah.
And so if that relationship ends, it's a death. It's an emotional death.
Yeah. We'll let you take this next one from Nicole as well.
How many fall and mess up when taking on a new challenge? But we would never know if we truly succeed if we don't first step out and set fear aside. Oh, I love that. 100%. Yeah. Part of success is failing. You can't have success without failure. Yeah. It's inevitable. It's part of the recipe.
Yeah. And she said, take the first step. Here's a comment from Ivory. She put the hands up, praising what you said. I think she's saying when you agree with me. So she's really praising.
Is that it? Is that what's going on?
I don't know what it was, but yeah, you said something that ignited something in her. So hey,
I appreciate that.
On that.
You know, if we could just highlight that point again, that most men have fear because they are sometimes embarrassed by the failure part of success. You know, I got to score the most points in every game. You know, if I'm working with this company, either I'm the boss or I'm nobody. But that's not true. You may remember this, Gerard, because you and I are from the same generation. Years ago, Michael Jordan had the commercial that said, you know what, I've won 5 MVPs, but I've missed over 1,000 shots. You know, I've been passed the ball for the game-winning shot 50 times, but I missed 30 of them. You know, failure is part of success. You're going to fall on your face. And so for the men watching, you can't learn to bike without falling.
Yeah.
You get those bumps and those scratches and those bruises. That failure is part of the process of success.
Yeah. Hey, so here's Ivory. Whatever she praised you for, she's taking it back. Hey, Ivory. Hey, shoot me a text or in a comment, Ivory, what happened? I want to know so we can talk about that one.
Yeah.
I said, I'm just going to text him, have a restful night, talk with you tomorrow. Oh, okay. Talking about how to interact with the men. Ivory said every day is her birthday, so don't be trying to make just one day special for her. It's going to take
Ivory, you got trust me, Ivory. You would be happier with a good man at Subway than a wrong man at a 5-star restaurant.
But at least you're gonna eat good. At least you're gonna eat good. Will said, when you said another man will, he crossed oceans to get to me while the previous fumbled me. Okay, that sounds a little personal there, Mia. Don't get me in trouble. Oh, Lord, let me get that off of there right there. Hey, Heather said she loves Subway. Subway became a long.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And the clutch is all right.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you crunch on time. She said, I'm going to happy with a 6-inch tuna and have a good time. Right on. Yeah. And Nisha says the margarita chicken at Chili's don't miss. Okay. Cool. So there's been a lot.
All of this feedback is great because it shows that there are women that are out there that can be happy with consistency, right? If you set those realistic expectations and you're a good man and you're a good dude and you can only do Chili's, right? And you can only do Applebee's, but you're a good man, a woman is willing to work with you with that instead of being a mature woman is. A mature woman is, and instead of being a phony and trying to fake it and impress, and you ain't got it. You just faking the phone.
Hey, I think we're gonna unpack that a little bit more. We're gonna go to commercial first, but on the other side of the commercial, we're gonna come back and unpack that one a little bit more because I'm gonna challenge women's thinking on that one right there. I know it sounds good, but hey, let's do this commercial. We'll come back and finish it up.
All right.
Your success ain't gonna happen overnight. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 10 years. For some people, it might take even longer than that. But one thing I do know, as long as you keep fighting and staying consistent, you will make it. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you gonna
water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You gotta be willing to go out and get it. You gotta dive in it, go and get it. Step in that water, step in that water.
That's a banger right there, man.
Banger, man. Hey, I'm gonna have to get you out there so you can get trimmed up by Miracle. I know you got your own barber, and they said it's a cardinal sin to go to another barber, but we got to go check out the homie Miracle. And let you check.
I'll check them out. I'm ready for a cut right now. You know, I got this.
Cool.
Yeah. My mom used to, when I missed a haircut back in the day, my mom used to say, "You walking around here looking like Jesus. It's time for you to go get a cut."
Like, just long. Yeah. Hey, so before the commercial, you was talking about how a good woman will appreciate a Subway type meal and not having to, be wined and dined. And I want to challenge not you, but the women in their thinking and like how correct do they agree with you? Not just once or twice, but just say that, hey, even his times aren't hard. He's just saying, like, you know what, I got a plan for us, a financial plan for the next year. We're not eating out on anything that's going to cost us more than $20. I mean, do you think that's an extreme goal for a guy to try to get her to buy into, or should she have some input on that? And I mean, what are your thoughts on something like that?
Oh man, sorry.
Let you pause it. Okay.
Yeah. Let me put up.
So we're gonna let Gregory work on that, and then we'll be back. But so how about we go to some more of these comments right here and see if I can hold it down while he's gone. But oh yeah, Misha is talking about stepping the water to that commercial right there. Hey, Carlika, appreciate you tuning in. We wish you was on here. We're gonna get you on. We got a show coming up here in the near future, and it's called Woman, I Love You, and Man, I Love You as well. So we're gonna get y'all back in here in a couple weeks and talk about that. So here's Ivory. Ivory says, as long as he communicates the plan, I'm on board. So I believe that with you, Ivory, and I know that I mean, that's just your thinking. You're trying to see like how can we be better. But I guess the way that I was presented is, should you have input on that? And what if you don't agree with that? Are you going to offer some rebuttal on that? Or is it only what you want? I mean, are you okay with what he wants? So let me know in the comments if he wants to go a whole year without eating them out and the meal is more than $20. Are you okay with that? Because that's a financial goal that he's trying to achieve. Let me know. What else we got on here? Oh, Nisha's talking about the margarita chicken at Chili's. So yeah, hey, if y'all don't know, you back, Gregory?
I'm back, sir.
Hey man, I was struggling up here trying to you give me
good
food, man.
Listen, I can already tell you what I think the women are gonna say, and before they respond, I think the women are gonna say it's okay that we eat at Subway sometimes, but we got to have a plan to step it up eventually. And so I think that's going to be the majority of the comments. And again, I think a woman is happy with the honesty, but a woman doesn't like to settle. She doesn't want to feel like, oh, this is as good as it gets. It's got to get better eventually.
Right, but only if he's saying it's for a year though. Some of these women are saying make the plan clear and be consistent. So I like this comment right here, because if I'm saying like, hey, we can't eat out on if it's going to cost us more than $20, I think I also need to reflect that context or that concept in other areas in my life too. We're not going to eat out if it's more than $20, but I'm going to go buy these J's this weekend.
Right.
There could be a conflict with my plan.
Yeah. You've been inconsistent, or you're putting your needs before the needs of the family. So the rest of the family got to suffer, but you still get to splurge when you want to splurge. That ain't fair, black man. That ain't fair.
So I would say the plan should better the both of us. Okay, the plan should better the both of us, and I'm on board for a year. Okay. I believe that with Ivory though, man. Ivory's she's a special one.
She'll ride or die.
Yeah, she'll ride or die until she get it. Nah. She said also, I better not find out he out behind my back.
Right.
I get it. So yeah, cool. So what's another fear that you want to cover?
As far as relationship goes,
and about the purpose, about man, talking about this whole, he did not give us the spirit of fear.
Well, there's, I think there's a ton of fears that men particularly have in relationships, being the protector, like what if one day my wife sees me get beat up, or a provider, can I always, provide money? And then sexually, can I satisfy her? Because there are some men as we get older, I know you and I don't have this problem, but for some men, they have a problem with the performance in the bedroom. That happens. And, can I be a good father? Can I be a good example, leader to my wife, to my children? So you have all of these fears, and the tricky part is that when you have a good woman, she understands this, is that most women assume that men automatically know stuff. Like we got this book that we read when we were 18 years old that has all the answers, and we know how to solve every plumbing question, the carburetor. We know how to do that. We know how to set up the 401ks, and we don't. A lot of it is trial by error. And so the fear is a lot of times, like whatever area that may be, is what if I don't meet her expectations? Will I lose her?
Yeah.
Be it financially, physically, or whatever it may be. So there's a fear there. I think that the biggest fear that men have today going on is a fear of not feeling worthy enough. And that encompasses everything, because this world has gotten very competitive when it comes to masculinity. And I'm going to narrow this down a little bit more, even to Black men, is that when you look at the phenotypes and archetypes of what a Black man is supposed to be, he is ultra masculine. And some guys aren't always that way. He's generally athletic. Those tend to be the guys that most women or the limelight gets shined on the most. And so if you have a dad bod and you're balding, people tend to look at you as, less worthy of some sort. And so the biggest fear that most men have nowadays is, am I good enough? Am I worthy of attention? Am I worthy of the spotlight, so to speak? Because every man wants to feel like he brings value. And so when a man doesn't feel like he doesn't have value, then he tends to battle with depression. So you gotta be careful with that.
That's good. And it kind of leads into this comment right here from Iris. She says, what about the fear they get from other men or pressure? So I'll just tell a quick story. I was on assignment at DFW Airport, my military days, and we was running soldiers in and off leave. So all the branches of service was there. While we were sitting around waiting to process them, I would see soldiers over there, with their arms folded, and then you just kind of listening on the conversation, and everybody's comparing their careers, if they've led soldiers, if they worked at the staff, if they've been overseas before, how many times they've been overseas, looking at the combat patch to see if you've been in combat, things of that nature. So there is that pressure that you get from your peers to, if you are deemed worthy or not. So I like that comment right here. Let's see if you want to add to that.
The comment, what about the fear that you get from being with other men and pressure? That is true. I think that is something that is not insurmountable once a man finds his lane, which is super important for a man to find his lane. And so I know my lane. My lane is the mental health, spiritual lane. When people get Gregory, they get a man who is spiritual, they get a man who is emotionally intelligent. And so that's my lane. And so I'm not easily intimidated by other men who are more athletic than I am, who are probably have more education than I am, because I know my lane. And so generally men can overcome that fear when they find what is their gift. What is the thing that makes you you? What is it? Your sense of humor? Is it what ability in you that makes you stand out from the rest? And so once a man finds that, then that competitiveness tends to not affect you as much. Can it still a little bit? Yeah, I wish I could slam dunk like LeBron James, but I can't. But still, I'm still comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah, and valuable at that. Yeah. So here's a fear that I want to talk about. So there's this idea in the mental health space that you can manifest the things that you fear the most. So I know you've heard that concept before.
Yeah.
The example,
fulfilling prophecies. Yeah.
Where I saw this video was this guy. He was saying, like, in the town that he moved to, like, there was no good women. Like, there was no women there available for him to date. So whenever he would get out and go to eat or go to the neighborhood grocery store. He would just have like these little, jogging pants on, this, wrinkled shirt, and not really done up. So what he was saying is the thing that he feared or, had the most disdain for, he actually started to create it. So guess what? If he's out in these, joggers and his wrinkled shirt and his hair not done, a woman's not going to want him anyway. So he has literally created the situation that he don't like. And I know there's many different ways you can go with that, but have you heard or counseled people on that right there to be sure that you don't let your fears create the very situation that you're trying to avoid?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You see what you believe, right? And so if you believe you see what you believe.
Okay.
And so if you believe every black man is a villain, then guess what? Every black man that you see is a villain.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe every woman is a gold digger, then guess what? Every woman you meet is going to be a gold digger because you're seeing what you believe. And so it's not like this magical thing like you abracadabra, you created this thing into reality. What it is, though, is that you have programmed your mind to see your belief system. And so your belief system is what's leading you, and you become oblivious to reality because your belief system has overruled what is actually occurring in life. And so it does happen. And so if one partner in a relationship has been cheated on multiple times, then they tend to suspect that their current partner is going to cheat, not because the person has even given evidence that that's going to happen, but because it's happened multiple times in their past. They just predict it's going to happen. And guess what? The old saying goes is, if you believe I did, I might as well have. I might as well. Because then what happens is that you create this distance between the person they're already getting beat up for being this bad person. So if I'm getting all the punishment for a crime I didn't commit, then I might as well have the fun of committing the crime as well.
Or even more of a common occurrence is they're pushed, and they end up, I say communication is like water. It's going to flow somewhere. So if I can't communicate with my partner, that's where, guess what, it's going to start going somewhere else. And that's where those other inappropriate relationships start to form. And again, not excusing anything, right? But we're just saying, hey, you got to understand how the things that you fear the most, you can actually put those things into motion.
Oh yeah, 100%. It happens all the time. And so that's why it's important, I think, to do couples counseling, but to also do your own private work. What are your own triggers? What are the things that are still not healed in you before you go into a relationship? Because you're going to bring that back into a relationship and your partner is going to suffer for it.
Yeah, for something that's not even his fault, right?
Mm-hmm. Or her fault, yeah.
Or her fault. Hey, what about the fear of transparency? Like that was one that I asked around to a few people. That was a common one that came up. The fear of being transparent.
Yeah. That's one where people are afraid of being known, right? And so a lot of people, surprisingly, are not in relationships because they don't want anybody to know their faults. They don't want anybody to see their blemishes because they are happy with not being known. And that's a real thing. A lot of people are happy with not being known. I don't want you to know, Gerard, that right now my kitchen is dirty. I want you to think that I got it all together. But if I start dating a young lady and she comes over to my place and sees my kitchen is dirty, then I feel uncomfortable. I feel embarrassed. I don't want to be that transparent. So I don't want you to know that I was abused by my parents. I don't want you to know that I was bullied as a child. I don't want you to know I have these feelings of inadequacy because I'm embarrassed by that pain. And so the fear of transparency is showing that you have a wound that still hurts and you're afraid for someone to touch it. And so you'd rather keep quiet. Yeah, that's a real fear. And for men, a lot of times it manifests as, I don't want to look weak.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to look like a punk in front of my lady. But the truth of the matter is that you have a wound that hasn't healed yet. And we got to work on healing that wound.
That's good. That's good. And another byproduct, if you will, of that is that men are not as forthcoming as they should be as well. So while they may not be lying to you, or telling you untruths, it's some things that are relevant to y'all's relationship they won't share. Like you said, I was abused, I was bullied, or whatever it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that he's able to be transparent, and it's not one person's responsibility. It's two. So we talked about being able to create a safe space and how intentional that has to be to where he can be able to open up and share those things.
Yeah. And I think I've shared this before in the podcast, but vulnerability is direction when it's executed well. When you're vulnerable with someone, you're saying, this is how I want you to love me. Here are the directions to love me. Here are the triggers. I have abandonment issues because my father left when I was a little boy, or my father left when I was a little girl. And so I always fear that someone's going to run away from me. And so I'm going to share that with you so you will know now this is how to love me. So vulnerability at its best is actually direction. I'm teaching you how to love me.
Yeah. You know, a couple of things on that too, being transparent on that level. Like you should build trust first, right? Because some people will use that information that you give them and weaponize it and to take advantage of you, right? And once they have those emotional and psychological keys, like they can do great damage. So
They can.
yeah, I think it's important to couple of things: to do the work on yourself first, so you can heal as much as possible. And healing is not like, I got the cold, I took some medicine, now it's gone. There might be some ongoing coping mechanisms as part of healing. Also getting the right people in your circle, knowing that, not getting sketchy people in your life that you can't trust, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Also,
Healing is not the problem went away. Healing is I've learned how to manage the
okay,
problem.
okay,
Yeah. And so a lot of people when they hear healing think, "Oh, I don't have this issue anymore with abandonment or the abuse that I had." No. Healing means when those feelings come up, I know how to manage my emotions. I have the tools now to deal with them in a way that's not harmful to myself or those around me. That's healing.
that's healing, man.
Yeah.
Good word right there. I already said that's only if they know how to be loved. Trying to think what she was talking about.
I know. If we had Ivory on the podcast one day, we'd like to we could go deeper with her. Yeah.
We're gonna get Ivory on here. When it comes to that whole being transparent, it's both responsibility, but and you say this all the time, the person that's been hurt, they got to do the work to overcome it
You
and
got
being better too. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm such an advocate for mental health, male, female, black, white, young, and old, that I wish it was free. Like you get at least, 6 free sessions a year on with your insurance policy.
yeah,
Because it is so necessary because we all walking around with these suitcases. We all got baggage. We need some help. Ain't
yeah,
nobody free from it.
yeah. Sometimes the hardest people or the people that's hurt the most is those that don't let people close to them.
hmm
Them are the ones that you always hear like, I'm healed, I know who I am, I know what I want, but they don't let anyone close to them. So that's just a little off topic on that. But hey, this has been a good discussion. We could talk for another hour, but we're coming up on 1 hour on here. This conversation has been amazing, but this is where we get to let you give us some words of inspiration, some nuggets to take back and be better people in our community or in our relationships.
Thank you for this. The thing about fear is this: fear is a trap that keeps us in our comfort zone. And you can never advance and you can never grow in your comfort zone. You will never experience anything new if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Mhm.
And what fear has done to us as men in this country is that it has made us complacent. It has made us think that our sole responsibility is to be a protector and a provider. And we have yet to break through that box that society has put us in and to know that we're called to be warriors. We're called to be leaders. We're called to be assertive and to make the changes that are needed so this world is better because we were here. And so, what fear does is that fear prevents our children from living better lives.
Mm.
Our fear prevents us from our children living better lives. Because the truth of the matter is, as you talk to people, and the more people you talk, you will discover that fear is an inheritance. Most of us are valuing fears that our parents had. Look at it. If you look at financially, poverty is handed down from generation to generation because one generation didn't have the courage to face that fear of how to manage that money. divorce, abuse, alcoholism, whatever it may be. Fear is an inheritance. And so what is our responsibility as men in particular is to say, I'm gonna fight that demon so my children don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to challenge all the men is to not just think of your fear as something that you need to get over, but look at fear as something you're going to overcome so your children can live better lives. Yeah. And so that would be my message to the men, that this fear that you're facing, this demon, this battle, it's not about you, homie. It's not about you, my brother. It's about your son. It's about your daughter. And unless you face that fear and overcome it, they're going to have to fight that fight that you ran from.
That's awesome, man. You know, that's another level of selflessness. You know, as bad as I'm hurt, as much as I'm struggling, I got to even look beyond myself and say, what is my behavior doing to other people, especially those that I'm responsible for? So that's awesome word, man. I think I see if she was on here, she'll be pleased.
I hope so.
Yeah, so this was good. Appreciate the audience for all the participation, all the comments. We got to majority of them. A lot of people were saying that they're on board and they're looking for men to step up, conquer their fears, and be better. The community needs us, our family needs us, the world needs us. So I think this was right on time. You know, anytime I sit across from you, I'm always edified. So I appreciate the words, the encouragement, the push, and all that. So thank you, brother.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah. So this is where you get to, if you got one more word, you can do that or close us out. Or both.
My word is to follow, like, and subscribe at the Floor Is Yours podcast. I mean, we are the dopest podcast that you're going to find. You ain't going to find anybody else with this type of style, this type of flavor that we got right here. And usually it's Gerard, myself, with the three queens. And so you got to come back and meet our co-hosts. They be bringing it too. And they be, they give us a run for our money. They don't let us get away with nothing. They don't let us get away with nothing on here. And so you got to come back and keep watching us. We got the best theme song. We got the best crew. And we the dopest one out there. So like, listen, subscribe, tell your friends and tell your family. And hey, we do this for you guys. If there's something you want to talk about, drop us a comment. We'll bring it to you and we'll share our insights. And we appreciate you and we love you and we thank you for following and for watching.
Need another, this one here really do it for you. Baby, yeah, baby, I'm baby, come down to the let me show you how to Hey, until next time.
Peace out.